Okay, today is May the 3rd, 2018, and it's been a little while since I did a homesteading video. I've been busy doing some other things, but I'll try to do some more this summer. But I wanted to go ahead and do a homestead tour and show how everything is growing. And I still have a lot of work to do outside and catch up on, but a lot of things have come out of dormancy and are doing good. So the roses are starting to bloom out. This is my front porch bed. It's starting to, flowers are starting to come back in it as well. And then I have some perennial flowers here in this box and hostas that have come up. And the trees, fruit trees, are all starting to come out of dormancy and grow and starting to get fruit on them. This is my peach tree, and it looks like we're going to have quite a few peaches on it this year. So this is a dwarf peach tree, and it's just loaded with peaches this year. And I've changed my cottage garden design just a little bit with painting the fence and the pergola in this color. And I have a lot of weeding and a whole lot of work still to do in this cottage garden, but many of the perennial plants have started coming back up and growing. And I'm going to be working some new bed areas in here for planting annual flowers that I've started from seed. I've got about 400 seedlings that I've started, herb seeds, annual flower seeds, a few more vegetable seeds, but I started over 400. And so this is what the cottage garden looks like right now. So I have a lot of available space right here, so I'm going to be removing the mulch and making this into a bed area, and then planting those annual flowers that I started, and putting some more in this center island as well, and then over there. And it looks like that I'm going to get apricots this year for the first time. And so I'm excited about that. I have 2 apricot trees. These are about, maybe 6.5 feet tall right now. So this is the first year we're going to get apricots on these. This is a plum. I don't think we're going to get plums this year. Probably be another year before we get plums. And then I have some more peaches in here as well. But everything is really growing, and as I said, I've got a lot of weeding to do and a lot of work to do here in the cottage garden, but by midsummer it'll be full of bloom and flowers and color. And this is lemon balm, and this is just, this is just grown unbelievably, and it's just May 3rd. It's already about 3.5 feet tall, maybe 3.5 feet tall. And so this makes wonderful tea, but it has just, I just can't believe how big that's got in such a little time. And the blueberries are doing good. I'm getting lots of blueberries on these plants over here. So we should have, there's hundreds of blueberries right now on these plants, if I can get to them, most of them before the birds do. This plant here, this is my tallest one. I think it's about 4 feet tall now, 3 feet wide. And this is wisteria, and it actually bloomed out early for a couple of weeks. The blooms fell off afterwards. There was still a little bit, some left, but it bloomed early this year. This was the first year it bloomed, and it's just got huge. It's probably 8 feet across right now. This is actually a tree form wisteria. And so I've got just a lot of different plants in different areas that are coming up and growing. And on the slope up here, I had planted catmint last year, and it's already, come back up, and it's blooming and spreading and doing really, really good. It's huge. These right now, that's probably 3.5 feet. That one's probably 4 feet across. So they're getting really big. And what I did is the rest of the slope, I sowed wildflowers. and left a space here in the middle so we can build a permanent stairwell. And then on the ends I have maiden grasses that are coming up. And I have a couple of beds here. These are just for green onions, and I've got a rhubarb planted here. And I've got some things in containers here. Some grapes I've got to get in the ground, goji berries. These are herbs that are doing really great. I've got parsley here and chives, a rosemary plant, and some sage. And this is a new bed area that I'm starting. And in the back I've already planted new asparagus, purple asparagus. Actually, no, they were Jersey, not asparagus plants. And I'm going to be tilling up this whole area, working in compost, and using this for planting space, primarily for herbs and flowers, but also a few vegetables that are, you know, nicer looking, like, you know, fennel, and that's why I've got the asparagus in here. It makes a beautiful fern. The fennel's really nice. I may put some sunflowers in the back, some maybe 4 foot, 5 foot tall sunflowers in the corners as well. So, but as you can see, I've got a lot of work left to do. And then I'll have to weed the slab. This is after the wildflowers start coming up, and they're already starting to, but some weeds are starting to come up there too. And oops. And so I'll have to get up there and weed as well. But all these maiden grasses are coming up on this end of the slope, and so they'll get a whole lot bigger and, you know, be really beautiful on this section. And then over here on the side of the house, I've got barberries. I've got a lot of wildflowers I've planted in here that are coming up, and black-eyed Susans. These are perennial flowers. I've got to weed this box. I've got mint in this box, and then I have rabbit eye blueberry bushes here that are also getting loaded with blueberries as well. So I can't wait to pick those. This side of the garden, or this side of the yard, I have another garden that's got some onions, cabbages, broccoli, some spinach, and I'll be taking those out pretty soon and replanting those. Let's see. So I have, you know, the different bushes and trees and everything in the yard coming up. That's an almond tree. This is a crabapple tree, and it's getting little crab apples all over it as well this year. And we've started a new garden extension in the back. We started 9 new beds that we just finished yesterday. My goal was to do 30, and I kind of forgot how much work it was. So it took us quite a while just to do those 9 beds, because we have Bermuda grass here and just a small tiller that we use, and it took us a while to remove all the sod, get the beds work, landscape fabric down, and the mulch put down, and the beds worked and ready for planting. But we got that done yesterday. These are hazelnut bushes, and it looks like for the first time this year we are going to have hazelnuts. I've noticed there's nuts forming all over these bushes, so that'll be a nice treat. And have quite a few vegetables growing in the backyard garden. We've got potatoes. I've got like 160 potato plants. I've got turnip greens. I've got 3 beds of strawberries. 2 beds of carrots have to be thinned, peas, lettuces, asparagus, mesclun, kale, radishes. And oh, you got, really, I just said I got a strawberry. Look at that. Oh, that's really early. That's real early. My goodness, just May 3rd. Usually these don't produced about the end of May. I've got lots of strawberries on all these plants, and I've got 3 beds of plants. And love carrots, but I planted quite a bit this year in 2 beds, but a lot of thinning. It's going to require a lot of thinning. Got some radishes ready down here. And I planted some more blueberries back here. And since we've had some available space back here, I just went ahead and put some tomatoes in, because these won't get big enough this year to interfere with their growth. And so these are the new beds that we started. I've got 3 back here and then 6 right here for a total of 9 new beds. We may put in 5 more by the middle of May, and that's probably all we're going to do this year. Have started 14 new beds this year. And so total I have 35 beds for planting vegetables. And this is our new chicken coop area. We have 12 chickens and 2 ducks, 2 runner ducks that are, I mean, they're just wonderfully fun to play with, and they're great pets. But we built this little chicken coop out of scrap wood, actually, that we had, and put up this this fence, and they've got plenty of space in there to roam around, and they're very content in there. And they have their food and their water, and we've been raising these since they were only about 2 weeks old. We had them inside under, in large plastic tubs and under heat lamps, and just took good care of them, and they're great. They're very, very healthy. All 12 of them made it. We have, I think, 3 different varieties of chickens, and they should be laying pretty soon. Maybe in the next month or so, the ducks and these chickens should start laying eggs for us. And the ducks are outside of the area right now, because they don't go very far. We let them roam around the yard or in the garden. And we have a little pool down there for them too. They can get in when they want. So they just basically stick right around this area, and I will let them out for a couple hours or more, roam around the garden and get down there in their pool. This is Waigala bush. This has really blossomed out this year. It's got really big. It's probably 6-7 feet across now, and about 6 feet high. So I just put this in. We've lived here for 3 years. At the end of this month, we bought this house 3 years ago, and so everything's really, grown a lot since we put it in. Mike and I have put up this. I still have yet to use it this season. I'm probably going to start using it pretty soon. I was actually, we took all of our fence back here down. I was waiting till this mulberry tree come out of dormancy, so it would kind of hide this back here some from the road before I really started hanging my laundry. But I like the idea of hanging, especially sheets and blankets and quilts and jeans and things like that on the line. And we built this last year, so I'm probably going to start hanging my laundry up pretty soon here. And these are the blackberries. Blackberries are doing great. I got to get in here and weed. But they're doing really good. I had got back in the raspberries and the blackberries, pruned them really good over the late winter. And got a bee pollinating. So there's a lot of flowers. And there's going to be a lot of berries on these. These are thornless. All these are thornless blackberries. Some of them are blooming out a little bit sooner than others, but they're starting to form the flowers, as you can see. And I have 2 rows of these. And then we had, the little dwarf fruit orchard down there. That are, I'm going to have apricots and then also peaches this year from that little orchard. And then up here, I've got more fruit trees planted. None of these should bear this year, but I've got peach and apples, different varieties of apples, peach and pear. And that's a large June apple tree up there. Right now it's got hundreds of apples on it. And then there's another apple tree over here that's really loaded down with apples as well. And I'm gonna use these apples to make canned apple cider. As you can see, there's lots of apples forming. I mean, there's lots. This is probably I think probably a semi-dwarf tree. But it's got lots and lots of apples on it. I'll be using that for cider and then maybe some canned apples. And I like using those June apples for fried apples or for canning. And here are the raspberries. They're starting to come out of dormancy and beginning to flower. And I have two 24-foot rows of the raspberries. And so we should get quite a few gallons of raspberries from these this year, as well as the blackberries. I put in some new little trees back here too. There's just a couple of cherry trees I just put in, and another variety of apple, which just looks like a stick right now, but it'll grow just like these other ones have. And then there's a mature pear tree up here, and it's loaded down with pears this year too. Starting to come on the tree. And then I have this, I still have to work this mound. I just call it a mound because it's kind of elevated a little bit above the rest of the ground, but I have to work this area and amend it. And then this large area here is going to be used for planting my watermelons, pumpkins, and squash, butternut squash. And then there's a couple of black walnut trees up there too. I'm hoping will give us some more walnuts this year. They're a little bit of trouble. I mean, it's a little bit of work trying to get the walnuts out, but it's worth it because they're just really delicious. And you know, just extra, just a special treat, you know, to add into holiday dishes, you know, like or breads. Alright, so everything's growing. So all the trees are growing this year. We should have raspberries, blackberries, strawberries, apples, peaches, apricots. And I've got a couple of little fig trees too that should produce figs this year. Blueberries. And then of course we have lots of vegetables being planted and herbs. And as soon as these beds become available, you know, as soon as we harvest and they become available again, I replant. And I'll continue doing that through the fall. So we get lots of harvest that way. You know, as soon if you work it and you know you plant the seeds, you harvest the crop. As soon as the bed becomes available again, you replant. And you know you can just get so much more that way. So I usually hold extra seeds just for that purpose, so I can replant. But there's a lot of planning that goes into this as well, and a lot of hard work. So you know you have to. It's much easier, this method, using the square foot garden method, than traditional gardening, although it is a tremendous amount of work to try to get, you know, new areas started. But in subsequent years, it is a lot easier to manage. So everything's growing pretty good, but as far as maintenance goes, you know, if we don't get enough rain, I have to come and I have to water everything. you know, I have to take care of the chickens and the ducks and make sure they're fed and start collecting their eggs before long. And I have to do foliar fertilization, which is what I do. Initially, I fertilize the beds with black cow and some gypsum. Then after that, I use foliar fertilization. Sometimes I come in and use a seaweed solution. And then at least once every week to 10 days, I use an organic foliar fertilizer. I get in a big 5-gallon bucket, and I mix it in an ortho sprayer that attaches to the water hose so it comes out at the right rate. And so everything gets foliar fertilized through the rest of the season. And then, of course, harvesting and preservation and weeding. So some of these are just some of the maintenance chores, you know, after the initial working of the beds and thinning the plants and you know, the initial fertilization, etc. So there is still a lot of work involved, but it's very enjoyable work, and I do everything organically. So that makes me feel really good, you know, to say, you know, hey, we're eating, you know, organic produce or organic strawberries or organic potatoes. I don't use any pesticides. I don't use any chemical fertilizers at all on any of my plants. So that makes it worth it in itself to me. And I have, here's a few of my seedlings I have outside. Some of them I have inside under lights still. But I have a lot of plants coming up. This is baby breath. This is bachelor's button, status, amaranth. I've got some herbs over here. This is marjoram. This is St. John's wort. Let's see, thyme, anise, hyssop, some rue, plantain, safflower. So I have a lot of different things started, herbs and flowers that are going to grow a little bit longer and then get transplanted soon. So, all right, but I still have a lot of work to get done outside, you know, and catch up on. But that's basically about it for now. Everything's growing really good, and I just wanted to do a little homestead tour. I try to do that a few times a year, show how everything is growing. All right, so that's it for May 3rd, 2018.